the Boxers Trainers Channel. And good morning, and welcome back to the show. Right, look, it has been discovered that Eddie Hearn, CEO of Matchroom Promotions, is the promoter of Lewis Crocker, the IBF welterweight champion of the world, right? Devin Haney is excuse me, Crocker is the IBF welterweight champion of the world. Devin Haney is the WBO welterweight champion of the world by way of taking that belt from Brian Norman Jr. last month, right? So here's the deal. Devin Haney has been noted throughout his career in boxing as one of the few boxers in the business that wants all the smoke. Devin Haney clamors to be great. He clamors to have a legendary career in the art of boxing, right? So, and he does everything in his power to make sure that happens. The training, the matchmaking, he puts everything into wanting to be one of the great boxers who ever laced up a pair of gloves in the sport of boxing, right? That is noteworthy. We know that Devin Haney seeks all the smoke. We also know that prior to Devin Haney's departure from Matchroom Promotions, right, Devin Haney and Eddie Hearn were relatively good friends. They had a good relationship and a good run, right? And it's noteworthy to suggest that Devin Haney's paydays, when they started to increase, started up under the helm of Matchroom Promotion and Eddie Hearns. So we can't take anything from Eddie Hearn's ability to make great fights, right? But somewhere down the line, between Matchroom and Devin Haney's separation, right, there seems to have become frustration, right? And I will have to say on Eddie Hearn's behalf, right? Shout out to the chat. Eddie Hearns have taken a position in a negative light against Devin the Dream Haney. At every turn, Eddie Hearn seems to have something diabolic to say about Devin Haney, right? About Devin Haney's career, about Devin Haney's ability to be a champion. I don't know how he comes to that conclusion, because at this juncture, Devin the Dream Haney is a 3-division world champion. Lightweight, he conquered the lightweight and went undisputed. He went super lightweight and took Regis Probate's WBC super lightweight championship, right? And then he moved up to welterweight and took Brian Norman's WBO welterweight championship belt, right? So let's be perfectly clear about this. Devin Haney has did everything that a young fighter needs to do in order to seek greatness, right? He still challenged himself to be great. He has asked to unify those belts, and he asked to unify those belts with someone that is up under the promotional banner of Matchroom and Eddie Hearns. Eddie Hearns seems to be of the opinion that he doesn't want Lewis Crocker to fight Devin Haney. Why? Now, let's be perfectly clear about this. To fight Devin Haney, as far as Lewis Crocker is concerned, would be one of the great accomplishments of Lewis Crocker's career, right? Big payday, visibility. The whole 9 yards falls up under the notion that Lewis Crocker wants and needs this fight. Win or lose, he needs this fight. So, why is Eddie Hearn's blocking? You know, they had a term for that back in the days when I was young, right? I want to use the term because it has some negativity associated with it, right? But I will say this. It's called C blocking. C blocking, right? Eddie Hearns is C blocking. Boy, I would love to say what that really means, but I don't want to put my podcast in a position where they're going to start coming down on me, right? But back in the days when I was young, right? Now, think you can figure this out. We used to say, so-and-so is C blocking. You know what the C is, correct? Shout out to the chat. Anyway, that's what Eddie Hearns appears to be doing. Blocking. Blocking. It's funny because the term, right, it has, you know what I'm saying, a familiar tone to it as for universally being recognized, right? C blocking. Y'all know what C blocking is, because I'm quite sure, especially you young cats, y'all have did some C blocking too. Not in boxing, but in other ways when it comes to females. You know what I mean? But anyway, back to this diabolical state of Eddie Hearns. Eddie Hearns has went public and said some debilitating things about Devin Dream Haney and Bill Haney, right? I'm talking about on the record, right? I mean, it's stuff like he has no chin, he can't box, I don't know why people like him, all kind of stuff has flung out of Eddie Hearn's mouth when it comes to Devin Haney, right? But here's the deal, and here's the reality of the situation, right? Lewis Crocker, the IBF welterweight champion of the world, right, needs that fight with Devin Haney. That's all that's important, especially as a businessman when it comes to Matchroom Promotions, right? Eddie Hearns, is supposed to recognize the fact that this fight, win or lose, is good for his client. Now, how do you disassociate yourself with that logic and say, we don't want that fight? No. Eddie Hearns don't want that fight. Lewis Crocker has went on the record and says he wants that fight, right? So, in my opinion, the fan base needs to get behind Lewis Crocker and push Eddie Hearns the hell out the way. Because at this juncture, at this state, Eddie Hearns is bad for boxing. Now, I like Eddie. Personally, I think Eddie's a good matchmaker. I think Eddie has a good gas when it comes to what he does as a promoter. He's great, right? But when it comes to that personal thing that he acknowledges in other boxers that he might not like, right? He's bad for boxing, man, right? The thing about boxing, the belt needs to be unified. That's the biggest thing in boxing for a boxer. Right, to get in a position where you can unify your belt. You know what I mean? And here you got Eddie Hearn in the way. C blocking. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you guys in the chat got something to say to make this seem like he's not C blocking, help me out with that, because I'm puzzled. You know, at first I'm concerned, Eddie Hearn, I'm going to say it, is cock blocking. I said it, okay? That's a term we used to use when I was a kid. But anyway, man, I just wanted to get that off my chest, you know what I mean, and let the record reflect that I am against Eddie Hearns and what he's doing to Devin the Dream Haney and what he's doing to boxing. Okay? That being said, hit that subscription button. It don't cost 1 penny. It don't cost nothing to hit that subscription button and hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. And let me know what y'all think about Eddie Hearns cock blocking. Appreciate y'all, man. I really do. That being said, I got to go. Later.